You got the thing you wanted. Maybe it was the job, the relationship, the afternoon with nothing scheduled, no one needing anything from you. Maybe it was a compliment so specific and so true that it should have landed somewhere warm inside you. Maybe it was just a quiet Saturday, sunlight through the window, coffee still hot, and absolutely nothing wrong. And instead of feeling good, you felt guilty. Not dramatically, not in a way you could easily explain. Just a low hum underneath the good thing, a sense that you didn't quite deserve it. That something was slightly off about accepting it, that you should be worrying, or at the very least not enjoying yourself this much. You looked at the good thing in your hands and your first instinct was to put it down. That feeling has a name, and it's not humility. It's not gratitude in disguise. It's something older and stranger, a pattern your nervous system learned long before you had the vocabulary to question it. This is the psychology of why good things feel wrong. Here's what makes this particular kind of guilt so disorienting. It arrives precisely when nothing is wrong. Regular guilt has a target. You did something, you said something. There's a cause, a person affected, a clear path to repair. That guilt, however uncomfortable, is legible. It points at something real. But this guilt, the guilt of good things, floats free of any cause. You didn't hurt anyone. You didn't take something that wasn't yours. You simply received something, or chose something, or allowed yourself to rest. And your nervous system responded as though you'd done something that required explanation. Psychologists sometimes describe this as unearned comfort anxiety, the specific discomfort of being in a state better than the one you've normalized. Your brain has a set point. A baseline mood, a baseline level of struggle, a baseline idea of what you're allowed to feel on any given Tuesday. When your life dips below that baseline, it's painful, but it's familiar. When it rises above it, when things are genuinely, undeniably good, something trips. The interesting part isn't the guilt itself, it's the speed of it. How it doesn't wait, how it arrives not after the good thing fades, but inside it, sitting right there in the center of the moment that was supposed to be easy. You weren't supposed to feel guilty here, but here you are. This didn't start with the job, or the Saturday, or the compliment. It started somewhere much earlier, in the original classroom where you learned what you were allowed to want. Some people grew up in households where good things came with conditions attached. You could have the thing, but you'd better be grateful enough, quiet enough, humble enough about it. Expressing joy too loudly invited a correction. Pleasure that lasted too long started to feel like showing off. Happiness was a room you could visit, but not live in, because someone would eventually remind you of everything you'd taken for granted. Other people grew up watching a parent carry weight they never set down, a parent who didn't rest, who worked through illness, through exhaustion, through every available moment of quiet. You absorbed something from watching that. Not a rule you were taught, a rule you felt, that rest is something you earn, and then earn again, and then justify. That stillness is provisional. That joy without labor attached to it is somehow stolen. Others still grew up in environments where love came and went unpredictably, where good things were followed quickly by bad ones. So the brain learned to stay alert inside the good, to never fully unclench, because the drop was always coming. Relaxing into happiness felt like looking away at the wrong moment. In each case, the lesson was the same: good is temporary, and enjoying it too much makes you vulnerable. Your nervous system heard that, and it's been acting on it ever since. The trouble with this kind of guilt is that it's a skilled disguise artist. It rarely shows up wearing its own name. It shows up as productivity anxiety, the inability to sit still during time that belongs to you. You're on vacation and you start thinking about the emails. Not because the emails need you, because your body doesn't know what to do with the absence of urgency. It shows up as deflection. Someone says something genuinely kind about you, and instead of receiving it, you redirect. Oh, the whole team worked on it. It was really nothing. You talk yourself and the other person out of the moment simultaneously. It shows up as preemptive catastrophizing, the habit of finding the shadow inside the good news. You got the apartment, But what if the commute is terrible? You got the job offer, but the industry might be declining. You found someone you love, but what if you ruin it? The brain introduces these thoughts not to be practical, but to earn the good thing retroactively, to make sure you suffered enough on the way to it that you're allowed to have it. And sometimes it shows up as guilt that has an explicit, socially acceptable target: other people. I don't deserve this when so many people have so much less. That thought isn't wrong. Exactly, awareness of inequality is real and worth holding. But it's worth noticing when comparative suffering becomes a personal rule. When you've decided that you are not allowed to feel good until everyone does, that's not ethics. That's a very sophisticated way of ensuring you never fully land. These are the shapes. Underneath all of them, the same question: do I have permission to have this? Researchers who study emotional regulation have noticed something curious about people who struggle to tolerate positive states. The difficulty isn't a lack of happiness. It's a relationship with happiness that was formed under conditions of uncertainty. When positive emotions occur reliably and safely in childhood, when a child experiences joy, and the joy isn't immediately followed by withdrawal, punishment, or unpredictability, the nervous system learns to stay in good states. It practices them. It builds what some researchers call a tolerance for positive affect, not a capacity to feel good, but a capacity to remain in good without bracing for the exit. When that reliability is absent, when good things came with strings, or were followed by loss, or were never modeled at all, the nervous system develops a different relationship with positive states. It treats them as inherently unstable, as something to metabolize quickly or not enter too fully, because the cost of losing them from inside them is higher than never fully having them. This is why the guilt isn't irrational. It was the right response to the environment it was formed in. The problem is that the environment changed, and the response didn't get the update. Your life now is not the life that wrote that rule, but the rule is still running. People who carry this kind of guilt often hear certain things. You're too hard on yourself, as though the solution is obvious and you simply haven't tried it. You don't know how to relax, delivered as a light observation, landing like a small accusation. Why can't you just enjoy the moment? Which is perhaps the most useless thing you can say to someone whose nervous system has spent years learning not to. What these people don't see is the internal effort involved in showing up at all. The way you walked into that good thing carrying years of conditioning that said you shouldn't be there. The fact that you accepted the compliment at all, even if imperfectly. That you took the vacation. That you allowed yourself to want the thing in the first place. They see someone who can't relax. They don't see someone who has been practicing safety every single day in a nervous system that wasn't built for it. This is not a character flaw. It is not ingratitude. It is not you failing to appreciate your life. It is a very old reflex protecting you from a loss that mostly isn't coming anymore. There's something worth sitting with here. The guilt you feel inside good things is not evidence that you don't deserve them. It is evidence of exactly how much they matter to you. You don't feel this way about things that are easy and meaningless. You feel this way about the things you actually wanted, the things you built toward, the moments that, somewhere underneath the anxiety, you recognize as yours. The guilt is a backward love letter to the good thing itself. Some researchers describe the goal not as eliminating this guilt, which is both impossible and not particularly useful as an instruction, but as building what they call window of tolerance for positive states, small practices of staying, of noticing the good thing and not immediately explaining it away, of letting the compliment land, even briefly, before the deflection instinct kicks in, not because you're broken and need fixing, but because the life you've built deserves a witness. And the most important witness, the one whose presence matters most inside the moments that were always meant for you, is you. The good thing is still there, slightly complicated, slightly shadowed, carrying the fingerprints of everything that taught you to hold it lightly. But there. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. You didn't stumble into the job, the relationship, the quiet Saturday by luck alone. You got here by surviving the environments that told you that you shouldn't be allowed to. By wanting things quietly and persistently, even when wanting felt dangerous. The guilt is not wrong about the fact that things can be lost. Things can be lost. But it is wrong about the instruction it draws from that truth. Stay afraid is not the same as stay safe. You are allowed to be here. Not because you've suffered enough or earned enough or proven enough, but because you are human, and this is your life, and the moments in it that feel undeserved are sometimes, quietly, stubbornly, exactly what was always meant for you. Let the good thing be good,